Welcome all. Thanks for having me as first thing. My session today will be about AI capabilities in Power BI to make AI accessible for everyone. First of all, let's have just a Google about what is artificial intelligence, because AI, artificial intelligence, yeah, let's Google it. We hear it everywhere in the news, artificial intelligence. Even if you search on Bing, you will find a lot of results. So even Bing tends to know what it is. So what is it actually? And that's what I will tell you today during today's session about AI capabilities and how we can leverage that inside Power BI. First, I will shortly introduce myself. My name is Mark. I'm working as a data and AI consultant at McCall in the Netherlands. We're one of the Microsoft partners. Besides that, I'm also a data platform MVP. And you might have seen me somewhere online with Power BI. I tend to combine my two biggest passions, which is Power BI and beer, and made it into Power BI. Besides that, I am also quite actively blogging on my website. So if you want to find anything related to this session or other Power BI related content, find me online and feel free to add me on any social channels. One last thing. I'm not from French, so I don't speak any word French. I do not understand any word French, to be really honest. I'm from the Netherlands, from a really small town that is close to the place that's called Gouda. Probably you know it as Gouda, the city from the cheese. So I only speak English and Dutch. That's mainly it. So sorry for if you have any questions in the end, please try to ask them in English, or if somebody else can translate them, that would be awesome. So enough about that. Let's go into more details about AI and Power BI. So what we will cover today. First of all, a short introduction to AI. What actually is AI? Where do we see it nowadays? And yeah, how can we use it? Then a short mix about reporting and dashboarding nowadays and how that can be infused with AI. As third topic, I want to highlight all the AI capabilities that are available in Power BI. But I like to take a risk every now and then, so I prepared a lot of demos. So all the things I will tell you in the third topic, I will demo them as fourth topic inside Power BI. So let's get started. Artificial intelligence, what is it? When I started to prepare for this session, which is a long time ago already, I've done this session a few times before already. First thing I did was Googling, what is artificial intelligence? For me as a newbie in this area, it turned out there are 4 topics related that you will find everywhere online nowadays, which is artificial intelligence, machine learning, artificial neural networks, and deep learning. But having a closer look at it, for me, not being a data scientist, what actually is something that I can use today in my work as a data analytics consultant or data and AI consultant? Actually, if we look at artificial intelligence, that's the most common term we hear nowadays. It's any technique that enables machines to solve a task that we can do as a human. So we as a human can do something, and actually we're going to automate it to let a machine do it for us. So how do we relate that to, how do we learn this machine to do what we do, what we are used to do? Artificial intelligence exists in like 4 main components. First of all, we sense it something, and of course everything is related to data. So first we sense the data, then we reason it, we engage it with some more insights, we tell it what to do, we learn from it, and then the circle starts all over again. So actually we learn artificial intelligence to do something for us, and this circle keeps on spinning and keeps on learning to tend to act in the same way as we do. If we look at the ability to sense, reason, engage, and learn, what can we think about? So one of the things you can think about is computer vision. Actually, if you have an iPhone, and probably Android phones do the same, they are already capable of recognizing persons or recognizing faces if you try to make a photo. The same is possible with recognizing, for example, traffic light or cars or persons on a picture. A second thing, what's actually infused by AI is voice recognition. Think about Siri on your iPhone, Google Home Assistant, and many other of these products. Another thing you can think about is robotics. For example, car manufacturing, where robotics are used to automate the tasks like normally what were normally done by humans. And many more things in our day-to-day life are already infused by automation and AI technologies. But is AI actually innovation? I'm a bit in doubt here, because if we need to learn AI what to do, we're actually just automating something. So as long as we do not tell AI what water is, it has no clue what water is. So what artificial intelligence can do for us is learn from what we tend to do, optimize our processes, like, for example, give a next best guess, detect patterns, inform us with new information based on detecting patterns that we might going to follow, and inspire us with new insights. So these 5 topics is what you will see later on in this session, how we can leverage AI inside Power BI. But what is Microsoft doing with AI? The Microsoft AI breakthrough started back in 2016, when they started with vision recognition. After that, they really focused on speech, which was 2017, 2018. And later, they invested a little bit more in language. But one of the main things that they did is, for example, a really cool case where they invented the first world's winning AI whiskey. Every year, there is an event organized where they rate the whiskeys based on a lot of different components, and what Microsoft was capable of is inventing the first world-winning AI whiskey. They did that actually by combining a lot of different things. So they combined sales data, 7 million recipes from other whiskeys around the world, ingredients of previously award-winning whiskeys, all the customer preferences. They put everything, all that in the Azure cloud platform, put some Azure cognitive services on top, which are a few of the components that we can leverage in AI. And with that, they were capable of creating a new recipe that was the first world-winning whiskey. So these are applications that we can do by leveraging AI in a different way than we used to do, with inspiring us and learning from previous patterns. How does that relate to reporting and dashboarding? If we have a closer look at what we're doing today in our day-to-day business, everyone engages with software, or in particular, because I'm a Power BI guy, with Power BI. We're starting to use our Power BI more and more and start analyzing our data even more in our day-to-day life. There are different types of reporting where we're doing this. That can be describing something, declaring why something happened, or exploring our data. And I think that AI is mainly applicable for exploring data. There it can be really powerful to come up with new patterns, to come up with new inspirations about how we can leverage our data. If you look at reporting in the past, it was mainly static, paginated, and textual, like we see on the right side with SSRS reports. Let's be really honest, I'm not that old yet. I'm only 25 years old, and I've never built something like this. I stayed away from it as far as I could, and luckily I haven't done it so far yet. But what we're doing today is building more intuitive reporting with a clear navigation, consistency across pages in Power BI. An interactive experience from high level to a detailed level, being able to drill up and down, or even drill through. And this is something we can inspire with AI and make a more intuitive experience in Power BI with some AI infusion. I will demo that in a second. So this all was business intelligence, like we're used to do over the last years. But why not take the next step in business intelligence and infuse our business intelligence with more advanced insights? So how can we do that with AI in Power BI? Let's have a closer look at how we can leverage AI functionality inside Power BI. Back in 2015, when Power BI started and became a separate product from the whole SharePoint stuff, they already started with the first advanced capabilities. You were able to run some R code inside visuals inside Power BI. This was the first step in making it more advanced than it was any other tool up till then. In 2016, you were also able to run Power Query in the query editor, or in the query editor in Power Query. So that took over a year, which is quite a long time. Then it was silent for a year. In 2018, they also integrated Python because who was using R nowadays? I'm not, at least. So we could integrate R in Power BI and Python, but that was really more like the advanced guys, data scientists that were using R and Python. But it could be easier, and that's what they added in 2019, which were premium features, but also non-premium features, like AI insights and data flows. I will show you that in a second. Key influencer visual and decomposition tree, two AI visuals, being able to use Azure Machine Learning Studio and automated machine learning inside Power BI in just a few clicks. All this is what we can do today and is being made available for every user of Power BI once you have an appropriate license. As it already says, some of them are premium features. For every feature I'm going to show you in a second, I will tell you if it's premium or not. As said, Power BI Premium. This session is not about Power BI Premium, but to quickly highlight what the difference is. If you have a premium license, you're paying for a dedicated capacity in the cloud, in the Microsoft Data Center. And this dedicated capacity has some advanced features like linked entities and data flow and being able to leverage the AI and insights. So that's how it relates to this session. There is a way to work around this. I'm not going to demo that end-to-end today because it's quite complex, but that's on my website that I will relate to later. So having different roles in your organization, from end user to data scientist, what can we do in Power BI that is infused by AI? As an end user, you can leverage things like natural language query or automated insights. And the functions that you can use there is quick insights, Q&A functionality, and the AI visualizations. If we have a look at an analyst role, there the AI enrichment is more into sentiment analysis, key phrase extraction, or maybe even image detection. Looking at more the BI professional, you can do things like predictions and classifications with machine learning models and automated machine learning. If you take the step towards data science, you can start leveraging R and Python in Power BI, automated machine learning, or even custom-built machine learning models inside Power BI in a few clicks. Okay, why are we all doing this inside Power BI? Because Power BI tends to be just another reporting tool, right? Actually, it's not. Because how does all these functionalities inside Power BI help us as a business user to understand our data? As a business user, we want to understand our data better. Functionalities that we can use are Q&A, quick insights, key drivers, and clustering. I will show them later on in demos. So as soon as I finish the slides, we will dive right into these features, and I will show you them one by one and also give my opinion why they're useful or not. As an analyst, to prepare your data, you can really look at forecasting, cognitive services, automated machine learning, or even already R integration, since R is a little bit better known, at least in the last few years, than Python was. Now there's a big change going on, more into Python. So as a data scientist, we're more in R integration and Azure machine learning, but of course also R. So as said, I like to take a risk every now and then. Let's dive right into the demos, and I'm going to show you them all the AI functionalities that are in Power BI today. The things I want to show you is first quick insights, and then we dive into the natural language query that we probably know as Q&A functionality. Then we do stuff like explain increase and decrease, analyze distribution, key influencer visual, the decomposition tree, the two visuals that are added last year. And then, as last but not least, I've created a demo this morning based on some data from Paris with AI insights, AI infusion with Azure Cognitive Services inside Power BI. Enough slides, let's dive into the demos. So what I did is I prepared a data set that I published into the Power BI service. This is a data set about Hawaii tourism analysis. And one of the features that is available in Power BI as of the beginning is let Power BI search for insights in my data set. We can do that either from publishing the report and then click the show me insights, or in the Power BI service directly, if we click the data set, we can click on view insights. Power BI can start spinning for a second and searching for insights. I already prepared this, so it is already finished spinning and searching. And now I'm going to show you why I think this feature can be a great inspiration, but then on the other hand, also pretty useless. For example, if we have a closer look at the visual on the right top, what Power BI suggests me as a possible interesting insight, I said this was all about islands in Hawaii or around Hawaii and tourism analysis. So somewhere in my data set, I have a column that is an index, and Power BI actually tries to inspire me that the island, Ohio, has a higher majority of the value index. Yeah, okay, so what is the message behind this? Because it's my index column, so it doesn't make sense at all. So if you start leveraging this feature, this quick insights feature, you really need to know what is my data set and how is my data set built up and what are my column names that are possibly interesting. Because here, as a second thing, we again see something related to the index. And to be really honest, every insight related to my index is quite useless. This one, for example, can be a little bit more inspiring. The expenditures by island name. So probably people are spending more money on the islands Ohio or Maui. So that can be an interesting insight. How does it relate to AI? Actually, because you as a report author are not doing anything with the data. You just drop in your data set into Power BI, and Power BI starts searching for insights, things that might be relevant for you. If I want to tell you a little bit more about how I am using this feature, actually I'm not using it that often. But sometimes when I have a data set that I'm not on top of every nitty-gritty detail, I do stuff like this to get inspired by what type of data does my data set have. For example, trends that can be recognized in the data set like we have here, or some clustering. But of course, this one again is related to index, so pretty useless. But let's have a close look at every single visual to see if it's useful for you or not. So it can be a great inspiration, but be aware of the pitfalls of this functionality. This functionality was named Quick Insights. Second one I want to show you is natural language query. The fun thing about natural language query, and I'm going to use Power BI Desktop for this, is if I ask any of you a year ago who is using natural language query, probably you all said no, because it is not that intuitive, not that user-friendly. It was always hidden behind a button like this, or it can only be leveraged in Power BI service inside a dashboard. But what we're using the most is a report in Power BI. So that is one big thing that definitely needed some improvement. And actually, Microsoft did that in different ways. I'm going to show you a few of the things how you can learn Power BI, what to do and how to interact with your end user with the Q&A functionality that you have in Power BI. First of all, let's show you quickly what it looked like before. We had a button like this, and once you click it, you had a pop-up window where you can start asking questions to your data. I'm using the same data set here about Hawaii tourism analysis, so let's just type something like show me the visits. And what Power BI will start doing is it recognizes what a visit is. It's blue underlined, so it knows what a visit is. And it shows me that there are 24.8 million visits. Okay, great. But it's not that good yet. So show me the visits by country, for example, because I'm not fully aware of the data set. And me as an end user, I don't know what is this field named. Is it country, island, whatever? So I just type visit by country. And this is where a lot of people stopped using Q&A, because Power BI didn't understand the question. And actually, we could already see that by country being red underlined. This was one of the biggest issues we had with Q&A in the past. But nowadays, it's much more intuitive. What the Power BI team did is actually integrating a new Q&A visual inside Power BI. This new Q&A visual looks like this. You can create it by just double-clicking. Or in either case, it's just a native visual here, so you can also add it manually. But this new Q&A visual is much better if you ask me. And the reason why is what I'm going to show you right now. So let's ask the same question again. This is by country. Still, Power BI doesn't know what a country is, because that's what we already have seen in the previous Q&A functionality. But here we have the little gear icon. Once we hover over it, it already tells us we can teach Q&A to understand people better and review the questions that our users asked. Once we click that, we have a little pop-up window here. And in here, it tells us a little bit more about what is Q&A, how does it work. So let's teach Q&A. We have the same question already asked. So if I just click submit, Power BI tells me I don't know what a country is. So tell me what a country is. And as a report author, you can use this feature to train your data set and make it interact better with your end users. So as a report author, I know what this data set is. And I know that country is not one of the fields in my data set. Because what Power BI tries to do is match the words towards a table and column names. So let's just say, okay, country is actually an island. Now it's blue underlined. It's loading already a preview result for me, and it's showing me the visits by country. And country is now also blue underlined. So let's save this one. And when I go to manage terms, I can see what terms I saved in my data set. And I can even review questions that were asked by my end users in the Power BI service. So let's quickly refresh it. Of course, it didn't load it. But this is a live interaction with the Power BI service, where we can see what questions were asked. And it should be this one. Select. Oh, it doesn't load, but at least what it can do is showing you the questions that were asked by other users. Let's just try another data set and see if we have something relevant in here. I think we might have some in here. Okay, a little break in the demo. It doesn't matter that much. I can show you how it works as well. All the questions that are asked to the data set are saved in the Power BI service. Once you logged in with the same user here on the right top, you as a report author can see what questions were asked by my end users. You can also add some suggested questions if you really want to, and these suggested questions will show up if I don't have any question typed in. The suggestions will show up here. But what actually is this feature doing, and how can you train your model faster than just typing random questions? Let's have a quick look at the model view. This is actually the data model behind, and the data model itself doesn't really matter in this case. But what is happening is that we have a table called islands. And if we have a look on the right side, we have a field that is called synonyms here. I just learned Power BI that a country is actually similar to an island. And as we can see, it added here islands and countries as synonyms for the table islands. Same for what you have here. You can add synonyms for every field and every table inside Power BI. So in Dutch, an island is actually typed differently. It's also called eiland, but you type it differently. So let's add that as well. So you can make it work for different languages. And let's see how Power BI interacts with it now. So going back to the question box, we can type something like visits by island in Dutch, and it works. I get the same result here, so it recognizes the terms I just typed. By learning Power BI with the synonyms, what terms are related to each other, we're actually training the linguistic schema. And linguistic schema is much more complex, but that is something you find here in modeling, where you have the linguistic schema to be exported or also being imported again. I'm not going to dive into this linguistic schema because that's all code-based, but you can find more about it online. But this is what we're training by adding synonyms to the data set and by telling Power BI how terms are related to each other. With that, I think the Q&A visual definitely made a big step forward in being more user-friendly and more often could be used in our day-to-day reporting. Let's have a look at the next feature, explain increase and explain decrease. Again, same data set. So let's go back to the data set. Explain increase and explain decrease is something that is already in Power BI for a very long time, but also hidden because it's hidden behind a right click. So if we have a chart here about the spendings per trip, what we can do is, for example, do a right click on this data, this point. We can say, explain me the increase of this value based on the moment I selected it. Power BI will start searching for insights here, and actually it's using the same functionality as we've seen earlier with the quick insights. So again, we can doubt if these insights are very useful or not, but at least it finds one insight here, that the spendings per trip and visitor arrivals are probably related to island name, the date, and MMA, whatever it is. So as an owner of this data set, I can decide, okay, this can be relevant for me, this can be useful for me, or not at all. This is also fully interactive. So again, you can click and cross-highlight items. But we can also learn this quick insights feature or the explain decrease feature, how to act. Because we can give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down, whether we like it or not. So this is indeed something relevant or not at all. And if we like it, we do not have to spend any time on adding this to our report canvas, because the little plus icon here on the right top directly adds this visual to our report canvas. So with that, we can directly integrate it in our report. Let's make a little room here. And we can have it as a native visual in our report, like any other visual. The good thing is that it's similar to any other visual, so I can also further customize it and transform it in whatever type of visual I want. Maybe a table is not the best one that I can choose, but change it into anything you want. That's the explain decrease. Similar functionality with explain increase. It will do exactly the same thing. Search for insights, and indeed, again, related to name, date, and MMA. This is all based on the values that are added to this chart, and those are analyzed to search for insights. So it will not look for additional insights in the rest of my data set. There we definitely have to use the quick insights feature. Next up is the analyze distribution. It is a different demo that I'm going to use. It's something about the customers and their preferences. So here we have a customer count based on the interest, and what is mainly interested for my customer is the price, the speed of delivery, the features that we offer, services, security, whatever. In this chart, it's just a regular column chart or stack bar chart, not anything in specific. But I can, for example, do a right click again. So again, this feature is a little bit hidden. Click analyze and find where the distribution is different. This will also search in my data set to find any related item. And this is actually leveraging additional fields in my data set. Having a quick look here on the right side, we don't use anything related to country, but the country is in the data set. And what it is telling me right now is that actually 29% of the records is related to France, and 15.2% of the records is related to Germany, or otherwise UK. So actually, probably the country has a big influence in what is relevant for my customer. Again, fully interactive, and the same features as we already had with the previous explain increase and explain decrease. Whether we like it or not, we can add it to a report canvas if it didn't break. Let's do it one more time. We can add it to a report canvas with the little plus icon, give it a thumbs up or thumbs down, whether we like it or not. Another feature that is already in Power BI for a very long time, but not that often used. So let's have a look at the more advanced stuff that we have. And for example, the key influencer visual. Key influencer visual is something that I'm going to show you with similar data as we had before, guest reviews based on some hotels and islands and whatever it is. Having a look at the key influencer visual, nowadays it's a native visual inside Power BI. The key influencer visual is actually this one. So if you have the latest version of Power BI, you can just drop it into your canvas, and there you go. So let's create a new one. Key influencer visual, we have it here, and we can just drop in, okay, we want to analyze something related to our customers, and let's just show you how this thing works. So here we have the visual, and it's just one big visual, but it contains multiple charts. We see the similar things like the thumbs up and thumbs down, and we want to analyze something about our customers and some related fields, but we don't know what yet. So we want to analyze our customers, and let's say we want to analyze it by their primary interest. It can possibly something relevant, if they purchase a spa visit or not, if they have a specific reservation type. I have no clue. I don't know anything about my data set, so I'm just dropping in some visual or some fields. And if we have a close look at what's actually doing, it's on the back just creating one big table and expanding everything. That is what this visual is doing, and then start searching for insights. Having a look at this visual right now, what is most influencing my customers at this moment? So what influences my customers to be not returning or to be returning? So let's have a look at why should they return. Probably if the visitors are from the UK, they're really likely to return to my hotel, or if they're from Japan. But this can be a really interesting one as a hotel owner. So as a hotel owner, if I offer them a discount to visit the spa, and if they visit the spa, they are more likely to return to my hotel. So maybe I should offer them just a discount code for the first time that they want to visit it, or whatever. These type of insights can be really interesting to give you a little bit more insights in what is relevant for my visitors. So let's do it the other way around. Why should they not return? If they didn't visit the spa, so probably this is a really big influencer of my data set. Of course, it's fully interactive. So this visual on the right here is actually explaining something that I selected here. So I can also just click another one and it will be fully interactive, building this other visual. This is also an interesting one. So again, we have to be aware of our data set. If the primary interest is honeymoon, it's very likely that they're not returning. For every one of us, I hope so, because otherwise you have a second honeymoon. And yeah, that's not what we intend to do, of course. Another thing that this key influencer visual is doing is looking at top segments. So it segments my data based on some profiling that it's doing in the fields that I used in my data set. Looking at it, we have different segments. So let's just click one of these segments. And it gives me additional insights about segment 2 is categorized that their primary interest is not relaxation, they are not on honeymoon, they don't visit the spa, and they are not single. Having a look at another one, segment 3 is from Australia, and they do visit the spa actually. Having to learn more here as well will tell me a little bit more with the same functionalities that we already seen in earlier demos, to give a little more insights in, okay, what influences my customers the most. Again, fully interactive. cross-highlighting between visuals. And everywhere we have the thumbs up, thumbs down to learn Power BI how this thing is relevant for us, yes or no. So one big visual that can be a great inspiration to give you some additional insights inside Power BI. For example, in a drill down page or for a great explorative report. That's the key influencer visual. Another visual that we have is the decomposition tree. And decomposition tree is also a visual that's added in the last year, which is a really interesting one. So let's move to another demo again. The decomposition tree is a visual that works similar like the key influencer visual, what I just explained you, by building one big table where we drop in all the different columns that might have an influence, but we don't know yet what we're looking for. And it's also a native visual here in the visualizations. What this thing is capable of, this visual, and let's just collapse them all. Let's move them all away and reset all the filters. So again, it's fully interactive with any other object on your canvas. In here, we have the sales amount, and the sales amount is one of the measures we dropped in, and we want to analyze something related to the sales amount. So the sales amount in total is almost 4.5 million. And by clicking the little plus icon, we can directly split it by one of the columns we dropped in, if we want to know the split by manufacturer, for example, or we let Power BI do the work. So split it by the highest influencer you can find, so the highest value. By doing that, it tells me that the sales class is one of the biggest influencers and the biggest splits in the sales amount. So sales class regular is the majority of this complete sales amount, which is 2.8 million. Splitting it again, let's say split it again by the highest value. The sales size is medium, is also a big influencer. But in this case, it's also fully interactive. So let's say regular, and then I have fully interactive, small, medium, large. But maybe the biggest influencer for the category deluxe is something different. So it's fully interactive, showing me now that the biggest influencer for the sales class deluxe is actually the manufacturer and not the sales size. So it's on the fly showing us what is the biggest influencer for this sales class. And let's have a third look at the economy. And again, there we have sales class as biggest influencer. Fully interactive, so we can drill down to other levels. Let's say we want to split it by country right now. And it's fully interactive, showing us and cross-highlighting everything. For example, click on small and click on large again. The key influencer visual, I think a really inspiring one when we look at root cause analysis and stuff like that. So let's move on to the final demo already. And the final demo is one I want to show you, which is start leveraging Azure components inside Power BI. This is called AI Insights. At the moment they introduced this to Power BI, it was only available in Power BI data flows. But nowadays it's also available in Power BI desktop. So what we're going to do is analyze some Airbnb data and see what is influencing the Airbnb reviews the most. What we're going to do here is leveraging Azure Cognitive Services. And Azure Cognitive Services are capable of doing vision analysis, speech analysis, language analysis, knowledge search, and many more features. This is what we call the pervasive application of AI. In the little video you see on the right, there it's showing the Azure Machine Learning integration, but there's a similar interface with just a few clicks where we can leverage the AI insights in Power BI. We can do that, and that's what we're going to do by text analysis, by leveraging Azure Cognitive Services in our Power BI dataset. So what I've done, and if the world was back to normal, I probably traveled to Paris to deliver this session on site. But unfortunately, we're not in that situation. But still, I had a look at Airbnb to find a nice room where I could stay. So I had a look on Airbnb, had a look at the reviews, and I selected the top 3. Now I want to analyze a whole bunch of reviews and see what is the most interesting place to go to. So let's move back to my browser, and I'm going to quickly show you what I selected. So here I have room 1, room 2, which is slightly different, and room 3. All of them have a bunch of reviews. This one has 4.15 as average. Here we have 4.9, so it looks more interesting. And here we have 4.45. So what did I do? In Power BI Desktop, I pulled in all this data. And I pulled in all this data by scraping the website. And let's go quickly to the transform data. I was scraping the website by just having an input table here. So these are the names of the locations. And here we have the URL of this Airbnb site. Then I built a quick scraper, so a function in Power Query that's going to pull in all the data related to these locations. And I ended up with a table like this. I decided to only pull in the first few because what you might have seen is that it uses only the first 6, and then I need to click Show More. Of course, Show More, I can capture all of them, but for a quick demo, I only picked the first few. So I have a location ID, which is just an integer I generate, the name of the reviewer, the date that they visited this location, the review text, which is a whole string of text, can be very long, can be very short, whatever. And it's actually in different languages, because here we have something I do not even recognize, something in German, something in French, so I don't understand any word of it. I have no clue what it is. So for me, as a Dutch guy, it's really hard to review these and read these reviews if I want to know which is the most appropriate place for me to stay. So what I did is pulling in all this data. I gave it just an integer, so just an ID, and I run some analysis on top to detect the language of the review, score the sentiment, so how positive or how negative is it, and extract key phrases. By extracting key phrases, it will tell me what are the most interesting words that are influencing this review. So what are the key drivers in this review text that are really recognizing this review for what it is. Having that said, let's show you quickly how easy it is to generate this. So I'm just quickly going to duplicate this table. I'm also going to just call it duplicate. In the top ribbon here, and just under the home section, we have a few new options, which is text analysis, vision, or Azure machine learning. And please know that these options are Power BI Premium only. So before I continue on, I'm going to do a quick check if my Power BI Premium is still running. Yep, it's still running, so that's all fine. By simply clicking the text analysis, I can start leveraging these AI features inside Power BI. While this is loading, it will show me the 3 options I have to do text analysis nowadays. By leveraging these Azure Cognitive Services, and here on the bottom, I can select the premium capacity that I want to use in order to do this advanced stuff. I only have one, so I don't have to select it at all. But if you have multiple, you can select the one you want to leverage there. Let's say we want to extract the key phrases. And there are a few things we need to insert here. That is, as first one, the column that we want to use to extract the key phrases. It is only showing me the columns that are text because we're going to do a text analysis. So in this case, it's my review column. And what we see here is the language ISO code, but it's optional. As I've just showed you, I have multiple languages mixed together. So how I'm going to add this, I don't know. I cannot just hard code here like, okay, this is all in English or all in French or whatever. But luckily, Power BI is smart enough, so if I do not fill this because it's optional, it will first run the detect analysis and use that output as an input to fill this field. So that's what we're going to do, and let's be a little bit lazy, just only select the review and click OK. What Power BI is doing right now, and it's pretty fast as you can see, it's adding a new column to my data set. And this new column includes the key phrases as a text string and comma separated. So my first review is inspired by words like a good value, the metro stop, short metro ride, something baguette bread, fresh grapefruit juice, breakfast. So something, probably the food was really good. And as you can see, it does it in a comma-separated field, and it also does the same thing in just new rows in the data set. So I built a quick data model for this, leverage all three functionalities. So either the detect language, core sentiment, and key phrase extraction to give more insights on my reviews. So I'm going to show you one more example about the sentiment analysis. And what sentiment analysis is doing is a similar setup. We select the field we want to analyze, and we do not include the ISO code. Just click OK. And this will return me a value between 0 and 1, varying from very negative to very positive. This is not based on that this is my most positive one in this specific data set. No, not at all. This is all trained towards a data set that is available in the Cognitive Services API. So we're actually leveraging APIs here. So let's have a look. We have one very negative one, actually, 0.24, and we have a few very positive ones, which are just returning the value 1. Interesting thing, the very positive ones are both in French. This is even Spanish, I think. So I don't understand anything of it. So let's not read the review itself, and let's go to the results that I created. What I did here is leveraging these three functionalities, build a nice data model out of it, where I have the reviews, I have the input tables, and this is where the review text is in, actually. I have the key phrase extraction because this is actually a table that has all these different key phrase words in rows, and I want to match all that together. As said, I inserted 3 locations, and now this just gives me a nice star rating. Like, this is your most interesting one, probably. And this most interesting one, it gives a 5-star rating based on all the reviews that I analyzed. I also did something with the language detection. So the language I didn't recognize is probably Russian. We have something in French, in Spanish, German, UK, and I put all the reviews in plain text on the bottom. So let's have a look at the French reviews, where I'm not going to understand anything of it. So for this location, we don't have any French reviews, and for these two, we have a few French reviews, and in this case, only 3 reviews in total. And these are the words describing these reviews in general. So probably, I think this is the only word I recognize, so it has something to do with the price. But let's go to English, so I also understand what I'm looking at. Words describing these locations are wonderful, good, the metro, the bedroom, the host. So this can all be really interesting related to the location I want to travel to and want to select. It is fully interactive, so let's just tell me more about the metro location. Show me who was putting in a nice review about the metro. And by the way, I want to see this for this apartment because it was the most positive one. And I have 2 reviews left. So let's click this one, and it shows me the full review text. Karen, probably the host, was a very accommodating host. She gave every detailed instruction how to get from her place to get to her place, and let me check in and out past the times. The space was clean, convenient, and spacious. It was near the Montmartre district and very close to the bus and metro stop. So the review itself is really positive, and it just took out a few words that are interesting related to this review, and one of them that influences this review to be positive is the metro stop. So let's have a look at a few other ones. We have something that is interesting related to the place, so probably a good location. Again, this first one doesn't score that good, and we have a few things that are describing it. Somebody just typed in great place to stay, wonderful experience. So this gives me more insight as as somebody that is not reading, not capable of reading all these different languages reviews, it gives me more insights and in a quick way to show me what is influencing these locations the most, what can be interesting for me as a place to go. Looking at this, I think this should be the place where I need to go. And now I'll just have a quick look at which one it is, to be honest. Probably I had to stay at this place if I was traveling to Paris. With that, I want to wrap things up a little bit and give you the time for some more questions. So a short recap, AI is more than BI. It's adding some more insights and inspiring insights to the analysis we are already doing today. But we can decide whether AI is innovation or not, because AI will only work if we tell it what to do. As I've shown earlier on the picture, as long as we do not tell AI what water is, it has no idea what water is. The same with the language detection stuff. As long as nobody put in once somewhere that this is German, this is French, this is English, it could not recognize it. So somebody put a lot of effort in learning this model how to act. Is it innovation? No, I think it's mainly a great inspiration and a great way forward in automating tasks we could have done manually as well, but could have cost us a lot of time. I think AI is really a great inspiration and for optimizing and detecting patterns in your data sets. And with the AI functionalities in Power BI, it's literally on your fingertips in a few clicks, as I've just showed you in the last demo. In a few clicks, you can add some more advanced insights in your Power BI report. With these functionalities, you can definitely take the next level in analyzing your data and in giving more advanced insights to your end users. By leveraging these cognitive services, which is a Power BI premium feature. But if you go to my blog, I have described a step-by-step case together with Katrin Borschett, which is a German-speaking Power BI expert. We described in the blog step-by-step how you can leverage these AI insights without the need for Power BI Premium. Of course, there are still some costs involved, but they are less than the premium cost. With that, I want to thank you all for being here, and I want to give you the opportunity to ask some questions.
Okay, thank you, Mark. I think we have one question in the chat for now from Suryesh. Hello, we have a requirement to persist these sentiment scores and so on. It cannot be calculated on the fly because of our data privacy requirements, and we need to delete the content of our reviews. So from understanding, it would be about having those sentiment scores, but removing the initial data and not calculating them on the fly.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I think you can do something like that. Let's move quickly to the query editor. Because if I score the sentiment, Power Query is running step by step. So what I can do is now just delete the review column, so I don't have it anymore. The interesting thing, the next time I refresh my data set, it is first importing this review again, scoring it, and then deleting the column again. You can prevent this from happening if you start combining it with, for example, incremental refresh. But still, at some point, you need this review to analyze it. But maybe it's an even better idea if you start leveraging the native cognitive services APIs and create the score sentiment in your underlying data layer. That can be a SQL database or whatever.
Yeah, I think, as you said, if you that's one way to hide it, so to say. But if you really need to remove the source, you need to have some process and store it somewhere, somewhere else. We have another question, but it's a really broad one. How long does it reasonably take to mastermind Power BI? What do you think?
Interesting question. Mastermind Power BI, like the stuff I'm doing.
For instance, yeah.
Yeah. The interesting thing is that I started my career back in 2015 when Power BI started. So my career grew with Power BI. I think mainly in the last 2 years, I took the next steps, and it was mainly because of I attended a lot of events myself, started presenting myself at events, and also because I just submitted sessions for events, especially the events that are looking for first-time speakers, I forced myself to look into these details because I submitted a session. So I forced myself to have a closer look and do some research into these details. So that is how I learned myself to do it. Another thing is also let my colleagues, my direct colleagues at McCall, challenge me in what I'm doing and challenge me in improving my solutions. But also, one of the biggest inspirations for me is visiting user groups, is going to presentations of others, and of course keep up with the monthly releases of Power BI.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Yes, as you said, we need to follow because we have new stuff coming in each month, and Power BI is so much more than just a data viz tool. You showed us with the AI capabilities, we can do data exploration, we can do many different things. So it all depends on what you want to do and the features you want to use.
Yep.
We still have 2 minutes. So if anyone else has a question, please feel free.
No questions.
Okay, I don't think so. Okay, well, thank you. Don't leave yet. I still have 2 minutes to keep you. So first of all, a big thank you to Mark for coming in today and showing us all these topics on AI. I think it's a really interesting topics, and it's moving really fast. So it's always nice to keep up with all those features. Thanks to you, all the attendees, to the sponsors, and so on. So if you're wondering what's next, first of all, this session is recorded, so you can access it on YouTube afterwards. You can just Google Power Saturday and you can find this on the website soon. You can go to the cafe, which is a channel, a live channel. And if you go to the cafe, so it's just on the left, you will see the list of channels in Teams. You will have a feedback form to fill in. And so you can fill the feedback form, say what you thought of this session, and you can earn some nice prizes as well. And if you're wondering what's next, we still have many tracks to go this afternoon in data, in Power BI, in Power Platform also, if you're curious. So feel free to join other sessions. And yes, thank you all for attending and see you next time. Thank you again, Mark.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And thanks for all who attended. It was a pleasure to present the session for you.
Okay, thank you again. I will end the session now. Thank you. Bye-bye.